Hi everyone, welcome to Wiki Sleep Prep. In this video, we are going to discuss about class 11 biology according to NCERT textbook. In unit in biology, according to NCERT of class 11, we have unit 5 as human physiology. In this, we have 7 subtopics: digestion and absorption, breathing and exchange of gases, body fluids and circulation, excretory products and their elimination, locomotion and movement, neural control and coordination, chemical coordination and integration. In our previous videos, I had discussed about digestion and absorption. The remaining all topics also discussed it further. In the present video, we are going to discuss about locomotion and movement. Topics in the chapter: types of movements, types of muscles, skeletal system, joints, and disorders of muscular and skeletal systems. Introduction of the present chapter. Movement is one of the significant features of living beings. Animals and plants exhibit a wide range of movements. Streaming of protoplasm is the unicellular organism like amoeba is a simple form of movement. Movement of cilia, flagella, and tentacles are shown by many organisms. Human beings can move limbs, jaws, eyelids, tongue, etc. Some of the movements result in change of place or location. Such voluntary movements are called locomotion. Walking, running, climbing, flying, swimming are all some forms of locomotory movement. Locomotory structures need not to be different from those affecting other types of movements. For example, in paramecium, cilia helps in the movement of food through cytopharynx and in locomotion as well. Hydra can use its tentacles for capturing its prey and also use them for locomotion. The two may be linked by stating that all locomotions are movements, but all movements are not locomotions. Methods of locomotion performed by animals vary with their habitat and the demand of the situation. However, locomotion is generally for search of food, shelter, mate, suitable breeding grounds, favorable climatic conditions, or to escape from enemies or predators. Types of movements. Cells of the human body exhibit three main types of movements, namely amoeboid, ciliary, and muscular. Some specialized cells in our body, like macrophages and leukocytes in blood, exhibit amoeboid movement. It is affected by pseudopodia formed by the staining of protoplasm as an amoeba. Cytoskeletal elements like microfilaments are also involved in amoeboid movement. Ciliary movement occurs in most of our internal tubular organs, which are lined by ciliated epithelium. The coordinated movements of cilia in the trachea help us in removing dust particles and some of the foreign substances inhaled along with the atmospheric air. Passage of ova through the female reproductive tract is also facilitated by the ciliary movement. Movement of our limbs, jaws, tongue, etc. require muscular movement. The contractile property of muscles are effectively used for locomotion and other movements by human beings and majority of multicellular organisms. Locomotion requires a perfect coordinated activity of muscular, skeletal, and neural systems. In this chapter, you will learn about the types of muscles, their structure, mechanism, and their coordination and important aspects of the skeletal system. Muscles. Flagellar movement helps in the swimming of spermatozoa, maintenance of water current in the canal system of sponges, and in locomotion of protozoans like Euglena. Muscle is a specialized tissue of mesodermal origin. About 40 to 50% of the body weight of a human adult is contributed by muscles. They have special properties like excitability, contractility, extensibility, and elasticity. Muscles have been classified using different criteria, namely location, appearance, and nature of regulation of their activities. Based on their location, three types of muscles are identified: skeletal, visceral, and cardiac muscles. Skeletal muscles are closely associated with the skeletal components of the body. They have striped appearance under the microscope and hence are called striated muscles. As their activities are under the voluntary control of the nervous system, they are known as voluntary muscles too. They are primarily involved in locomotory actions and changes of body posture. Visceral muscles are located in the inner walls of hollow visceral organs of the body like the alimentary canal, reproductive tract, etc. They do not exhibit any striation and, and are smooth in appearance, hence they are called smooth muscles, non-striated muscles. Their activities are not under the voluntary control of the nervous system and therefore known as involuntary muscles. They assist, for example, in transportation of food through the digestive tract and gametes through the genital tract. As the name suggests, cardiac muscles are the muscles of heart. Many cardiac muscle cells assemble in a branching pattern to form a cardiac muscle. Based on appearance, cardiac muscles are striated. They are involuntary in nature as the nervous system does not control their activities directly. Each organized skeletal muscle in our body is made up of a number of muscle bundles of the fascicles held together by a common collagenous connective tissue layer called fascia. Each muscle bundle contains a number of muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is lined by a plasma membrane called sarcolemma enclosing the sarcoplasm. Muscle fiber is a syncytium or as the sarcoplasm contains many nuclei. The endoplasmic reticulum, that is sarcoplasmic reticulum of the muscle fiber, is the storehouse of calcium ions. A characteristic feature of the muscle fiber is the presence of large number of parallelly arranged filaments in the sarcoplasm called microfilaments or myofibrils. Each myofibril has alternate dark and light bands on it. A detailed study of the myofibril has established that the striated appearance is due to the distribution pattern of two important proteins, actin and myosin. The light bands contain actin is called I band or isotropic band, whereas the dark band called A or anisotropic band contains myosin. Both the proteins are arranged as rod-like structures parallel to each other and also to the longitudinal axis of the myofibrils. Actin filaments are thinner as compared to the myosin filaments, hence are commonly called thin and thick filaments respectively. In the center of I band is an elastic fiber called Z line which bisects it. The thin filaments are firmly attached to the Z line. The thick filaments in the A band are also held together in the middle of the band by a thin fibrous membrane called M line. The A and I bands are arranged alternately throughout the length of the myofibrils. The portion of the myofibril between two successive Z lines is considered as the functional unit of contraction and is called sarcomere. In a resting state, the edges of thin filaments on either side of the thick filaments partially overlap the free ends of the thick filaments, leaving the central part of the thick filament. The central part of thick filament not overlapped by thin filament is called H zone. Here you can see diagrammatic cross-sectional view of a muscle showing muscle bundles and muscle fibers. Muscle bundles, fascicles, muscle fibers or muscle cells, sarcolemma and blood capillaries. Here you can see a diagrammatic representation of anatomy of muscle fiber showing sarcomere in the first A1 and a sarcomere in the B diagram. Here you can see Z line, A band, I band and H zone and a sarcomere. Structure of contractile proteins. Each actin thin filament. Actin is a thin filament. Each actin, a thin filament, is made of two F filamentous actins helically wound to each other. Each F actin is a polymer of monogenic G globular actins. Two filaments of another protein, tropomyosin, run close to the F actins throughout its length. A complex protein, troponin, is distributed at regular intervals of the tropomyosin. In the resting state, a subunit of troponin masks the active binding sites for myosin on the actin filaments. Each myosin thick filament is also polymerized protein. Many monomeric proteins called constitute one thick filament. Each meromyosin has two important parts, a globular head with short arm and a tail, the former being called the heavy meromyosin (HMM), and the later the light meromyosin (LMM). The HMM component, that is the head and short arm, projects towards at regular distances and angle from each other from the surface of a polymerized myosin filament and is known as a cross-arm. A cross-arm. The globular head is an inactive ATPase enzyme and has binding sites for ATP and active sites for actin. Here you can see an actin thin filament and a myosin monomer, meromyosin. This is troponin over here, tropomyosin and F-actins. Here the F-actins forms a helical wound. In this meromyosin, that is myosin monomer, you can see head, cross arms, actin binding sites, and ATP binding sites. Mechanism of muscle contraction. Mechanism of muscle contraction is the best explained by the sliding filamentous theory, which states that contraction of a muscle fiber takes place by sliding the thin filaments over the thick filaments. Muscle contraction is initiated by signals sent by the central nervous system (CNS) via a motor neuron. A motor neuron along with the muscle fibers connected to it constitute a motor unit. The junction between a motor neuron and the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber is called the neuromuscular junction or motor end plate. A neural signal reaching this junction releases a neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which generates an action potential in the sarcolemma. This spreads through the muscle fiber and causes the release of calcium ions into the sarcoplasm. Increase in Ca2 plus level leads to binding of calcium with the subunit of troponin on actin filaments and thereby remove the masking of active sites for myosin. Utilizing the energy from ATP hydrolysis, the myosin head now binds to the exposed active sites on actin to form a cross bridge. Here you can, in this diagram, here you can see the stages in cross bridge formation, rotation of head and breaking of cross bridges, actin filament and myosin filament. Both gets form a cross bridge, myosin head, and a formation of cross bridge is done over here. And sliding or rotation is done over here. And then breaking of cross bridge and formation of myosin and actin filaments. This pulls the attached actin filaments towards the center of A band. The Z line attached to the actins are also pulled inwards, thereby causing a shortening of the sarcomere that is contracting. It is clear from the above steps that during shortening of the muscle, that is contraction, the I bands get reduced, whereas the A bands retain. The myosin releasing the ADP and the P1 goes back to its released state. A new ATP binds and the cross bridge is broken. The ATP is again hydrolyzed by the myosin head and the cycle of the cross bridge formation and breakage is repeated, causing further sliding. Sliding filament and theory of muscle contraction, movement of the thin filaments and the relative size of the I band and the head zone are shown in this diagram with the help of two cyclomeres. The process continues till the Ca2 plus ions are pumped back to the sarcoplasmic cisternae, resulting in the masking of actin filament. This causes the return of Z lines back to their original position, that is relaxation. This reaction time of the fibers can vary in different muscles. Repeated activation of the muscles can lead to the accumulation of the lactic acid due to anaerobic breakdown of glycogen in them, causing fatigue. Muscle contains a red-colored oxygen-storing pigment called myoglobin. Myoglobin content is high in some of the muscles, which gives a reddish appearance, such muscles are called red fibers. These muscles also contain plenty of mitochondria which can utilize the large amounts of oxygen stored in them for ATP production. These muscles, therefore, can also be called aerobic muscles. On the other hand, some of the muscles possess very less quantity of myoglobin and therefore appear pale or whitish. These are the white fibers. Number of mitochondria are also few in them, but the amount of sarcoplasmic reticulum is high. They depend on the anaerobic process for energy. Skeletal system. Skeletal system consists of a framework of bones and a few cartilages. The system has significant role in movement shown by the body. Imagine chewing food without jaw bones and walking around without the limb bones. Bone and cartilage are specialized connective tissues. The former has a very hard matrix due to calcium salts in it, and the latter has significantly pliable matrix due to the chondro- chondroitin salts. In human beings, the system is made up of 206 bones and a few cartilages. It is grouped into two principal divisions, the axial and the appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton comprises of 80 bones distributed along the main axis of the body. The skull, vertebral column, sternum, and ribs constitute axial skeleton. The skull is composed of two sets of bones, cranial and facial, the totals of 22 bones. Cranial are 8 in number and forms the hard protective outer covering cranium for the brain. The facial region is made up of 14 skeletal elements which form the front part of the skull. A single U-shaped bone called the hyoid is present at the base of the buccal cavity and it is also included in the skull. Middle Each middle ear contains three tiny bones, malleus, incus, and stapes, collectively called ear ossicles. The skull region articulates with the superior region of the vertebral column with the help of two occipital condyles, and it is also known as dicondylic skull. These are the frontal bones. But it is the parietal. It is the frontal bone. It is the parietal bone, temporal bone, occipital bone, occipital condyle, and hyoid bone, which is present under the buccal cavity, mandibles, maxilla, zygomatic bone, nasal bone, lacrimal bone, ethmoid bone, sphenoid bone. These are the bones present in skull. Our vertebral column is formed by 26 serially arranged units called vertebrae and is dorsally placed. It extends from the base of the skull and constitutes the main framework of the trunk. Each vertebra has a central hollow portion called neural canal through which the spinal cord passes. First vertebra is in the atlas and it articulates with the occipital condyles. The vertebral column is differentiated into cervical 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacral 1 fused and coccygeal 1 fused regions starting from the skull. The number of cervical vertebrae are 7 in almost all mammals including human beings. The vertebral column protects the spinal cords and supports the head and serves as the point of attachment for the ribs and musculature of the back. Sternum is a flat bone on the ventral midline of thorax. There are 12 pairs of ribs. Each rib is a thin flat bone connected dorsally to the vertebral column and ventrally to the sternum. It has two articulation surfaces on its dorsal end and is hence called bicephalic. First 7 pairs of ribs are called true ribs. Dorsally, they are attached to the thoracic vertebrae and ventrally connected to the sternum. And with the help of hyaline cartilage, the 8th and ninth pairs of the ribs do not articulate directly with the sternum but join the 7th rib with the help of a hyaline cartilage. These are called vertebral chondral or false ribs. Last two pairs, 11th and 12th of the ribs are not connected ventrally and are therefore called floating ribs. Thoracic vertebrae, ribs, and sternum together form the rib cage. In cervical vertebra, thoracic vertebra, and lumbar vertebra. Inter, intervertebral disc, sacrum, coccyx. In ribs, true ribs are from 1 to 7, and false ribs are from 8 to 10. 11 and 12 are known as floating ribs. We have sternum present between the ribs and vertebral column on its ventral side. The bones of the limbs, along with their girdles, constitute the appendicular skeleton. Each limb is made of 30 bones. The bones of the hand, forelimb, and the humerus, radius, and ulna, carpals, wrist bone, 18 number, metacarpals, palm bones, 5 in number, and phalanges, digits, 14 in number, femur, thigh bone, the longest bone, tibia, and fibula, tarsals, ankle bones, 7 in number, metatarsals, 5 in number, and phalanges, digits, 14 in number. There are the bones of the legs, hind limb. A cup-shaped bone called patella cover the knee ventrally, kneecap. You can see the clavicle over here, scapula on back of the clavicle, and this ball and socket joint over behind the shoulder. And humerus, the bone which extends from the shoulder joint and to the elbow joint. And there are two bones present from elbow to wrist, radius and ulna. Near elbow, the first joint is formed by carpals, and next by metacarpals, and then by digits are formed by phalanges. Pectoral and pelvic girdle bones help, help in the articulation of the upper and the lower limbs respectively with the axial skeleton. Each girdle is formed of two halves. Each half of the pectoral girdle consists of clavicle and scapula. Scapula is a large triangular flat bone situated in the dorsal part of the thorax between the second and the seventh ribs. The dorsal flat triangular body of scapula has slightly elevated ridge called the spine, which, which projects as a flat expanded process called acromion. The clavicle articulates with this. Behind the acromion is a depression called the glenoid cavity, which articulates with the head of the humerus to form the shoulder joint. Each clavicle is a long, slender bone with two curvatures. This bone is commonly called the collarbone. Pelvic girdle consists of two coxal bones. Each coxal bone is formed by the fusion of three bones, ilium, ischium, and pubis. At the point of fusion of the above bones is a cavity called acetabulum to which the thigh bone articulates. The two halves of the pelvic girdle meet ventrally to form the pubic symphysis containing fibrous cartilage. Before going to the joints, in this diagram, in this figure, ilium, ischium, and coxal bone forms the pubis. Pubis forms the pelvic girdle. It is the coxal bone, sacrum. It's the femur, strongest and longest bone in our body. Patella, kneecap, tibia, and fibula, the two bones which extend from knee to the foot. Tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. Joints. Joints are essential for all types of movements involving the body parts of the body. Locomotory movements are no exception to this. Joints are points of contact between bones or between the bones and the cartilage. Force generated by the muscle is used to carry out movement through joints. Where the joint acts as fulcrum, the mobility at these joints are vary depending on different factors. Joints have been classified into three major structural forms, namely fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial. Fibrous joints do not allow any movement, which this type of joint is shown by the flat skull bones, which fuse end to end with the help of dense fibrous connective tissues in the form of structures to form the cranium. In cartilaginous joints, the bones involved are joined together with the help of cartilages. The joint between the adjacent vertebrae in the vertebral column is of the pattern and it permits limited movements. Synovial joints are characterized by the presence of fluid-filled synovial cavity between the articulating surfaces of the two bones. Such an arrangement allows considerable movement. These joints help in the locomotion and many other movements. Ball and socket joint between the humerus and the pectoral girdle, hinge joint, knee joint, pivot joint between the atlas and axis, gliding joint between the carpals, and the saddle joint between the carpal and metacarpal of thumb, and are some examples. Disorders of muscular and skeletal system. Myasthenia gravis, autoimmune disorders affecting neuromuscular junction leading to fatigue, weakening, and paralysis of skeletal muscle. Muscular dystrophy, progressive degeneration of skeletal muscle mostly due to genetic disorder. Tetany, rapid span while contractions in muscle due to low CA plus 2 ions in body fluid. CA plus 2 in body fluid. Arthritis, inflammation of joints. Osteoporosis, age-related disorder characterized by decreased bone mass and increased chances of fractures and decreased levels of estrogen is a common cause. Gout, inflammation of joints due to the accumulation of uric acid crystals. You can mail me through wikisneakprep@gmail.com or you can message me through wikisneakprep Insta ID. You can find my Insta ID by scanning this code. Easy. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to Wikisneakprep.